Hey, welcome to Slice of Life, where faith meets the everyday. I'm James, and each podcast I invite someone to dive into the moments that shape us, challenge us, and draw us closer to Christ. From coffee shop conversations to carpool reflections, we're talking about real life and the spiritual truths that help us live it well. So grab your slice of time and let's grow together. Hey, welcome to another Slice of Life. We got to talk about, is it pagan?
Is it pagan? Yes.
I hope we come up with a good good title for this. We can have a lot of fun. We were just joking just a second ago, just though if you have to ask, then yes.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. We'll be
Shortest podcast episode ever.
And we're done. We're done. So yeah, is it pagan? And it's an interesting there's a lot of debate. I mean, like Christmas, we can just go right there.
Oh, it's on the list.
But let's go. You got some questions?
Oh, I got a list.
Let's go. I don't know. I don't have answers, but I can make something up.
So I guess the first place we should even start, though, is defining what pagan means.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of times it seems that it's just become like the catch-all word for anything unchristian.
Yes.
But pagan actually is its own thing.
Uh-huh.
With the training I went to for the military, I actually met someone who is Norse pagan. Yeah, he practices Norse paganism as his religion.
Beautiful.
I talked to the pagan program leader, and he showed me like their artifacts, and it was real intense. He was real serious about his paganism. Yeah. So I guess let's start there. What does it even mean to be pagan?
That's really interesting. So I don't think we've talked about that much. So you're Air Force.
Yes.
Right. Aim high.
Yeah, always.
And so you just went through chaplaincy training?
Chaplain.
So yeah, explain that a little bit.
So I work with the chaplains. I'm the enlisted.
Oh, and yeah, it was very important. That's interesting.
Oh no. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Cool.
That's weird.
So I'm the enlisted half of the chaplain corps. Okay. Religious Affairs Airman is a new term. Chaplain's assistant is the old term, which is a little bit more descriptive.
Yeah.
But our job is to basically be all things to all people.
Yeah.
We are there to help any religious belief or organization or whatever get plugged into what they need. And because we are enlisted and we do not have endorsers, I am not endorsed by Church of God currently. We do not have the endorser protection. So if someone comes up to me and is like, hey, I need help to be pagan, I can't say, well, my religion doesn't allow me to help you.
Right.
I need to get them the resources to help them. I don't practice it. I do not help. Like, I don't have to pray over it or anything, but I have to help them get access to it to protect the freedom of religion.
It's so odd.
It's so odd.
You about, and you and I have had this conversation. Yeah. So when I was Air Force as well, active duty Air Force, I looked in the chaplaincy program. And as I talked with them, I was like, I don't know if I could preside over a Muslim anything, a pagan anything, a naturalist anything, right? Any other religion. And it's really, man, that's just so tough. So anyway, so I love how you talked about that, because I think define then the pagan religion, because I think most don't even understand that. So, having that, what does that mean? What is Norwegian pagan? What does that look like?
So the coordinator that I spoke to, like, they had like bones and different animal, like antlers and artifacts. It's very natural.
Yes.
Natural worship, nature worshiping.
Yes.
They believe that different parts of nature have spirits, and they have to respect that spirit. Their ancestral spirits are present and things.
A lot of people could relate in America more to like a American Indian.
Yes.
Concept.
Yeah.
Like,
very. Yeah. I would say like very close. The guy was very adamant that they are not Vikings. That would be like calling someone who follows Jesus a carpenter, because that was an occupation, not part of the, like, very intense about it.
Yeah.
And so they just take a very natural view, basically, of the world. And so part of that would include like growing beards is part of like what the military will recognize and allow a pagan to grow a beard.
Yeah.
So it kind of got me thinking of like, as he's talking about different things that are in their belief system, I'm like, man, some of that's like filtered into our culture too.
Oh yeah.
To where it's hard to know where like something got its roots from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then it made me wonder, like, well, on Groundhog's Day, I'm like, why are we celebrating this animal telling us if it's going to be spring or winter soon? Like, isn't that pagan? Is that not just pagan?
But that's the pure definition of pagan,
right?
Not just heathenistic or Satanistic or anti-God,
right?
It's true paganism, because we're worshiping nature, and then nature is going to tell us
what to expect. Right. And like, then it makes me wonder, well, is a farmer's almanac technically pagan? Because farmer's almanac take the readings of the environment, and then they base hypothesis off of that, right? And there's some science involved. It's a lot of like
there's
folk knowledge.
But I think it's a lot of learned science, observation science, and so I think labeling something pagan, I think again, you've got to make sure that you understand the definition,
right?
Because is the Farmer's Almanac, is that evil?
Yeah, I think it's helpful personally. I would say it's naturalist.
So it's
not pagan.
but it's based off of science, off of observation.
Okay.
It's like understanding, hey, the moon, is going to be full, or it's going to be a half moon, it's going to be crescent, whatever, right? Because we understand, we've observed over time, and we see seasons. You go back to the Old Testament, they talk about seasons, based on that, the third full moon, those concepts. So I think there's a difference there. Then you've got this ability of a groundhog to define for us 6 more weeks of winter or not. I think, and so this groundhog in this case becomes almost like a deity.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we begin to change. Like a Farmer's Almanac doesn't make anything a deity. Doesn't make, it's not Mother Earth. It's not the wind, the moon gods, none of that, or animal spirits that are going to help us. So I grew up in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest, and Native American culture is very big there. Continues to be big there. And I remember I had moved to Chicago. I'd been in Chicago for quite a while as a youth director, and one of the former counterparts moved to the Northwest. He'd never been to the Northwest before, and became the overseer of the Northwest, which is Oregon, Washington, Idaho. And he reached out to me one day and said, "How did you pastor out here?" He goes, this is really weird. Like some of the things that are going on. I said, "Oh, it's you're coming up to the worship of nature."
Yeah.
And it's morphed and it's broken into many of the churches because it became something natural for them to do.
Right.
And no pun in that one. Like, but it just, because that's what they were used to. Nature is everything.
Yeah.
In the Northwest, we kind of, those of us have grown up there, most of us hike, we're out there. It's living kind of off the land concept. And that comes from the Native American idea, even though that we're not Native American.
Yeah.
But that culture was so big into that. So even those that came, Lewis and Clark, and then those that came through the Oregon Trail, that came through, they wanted a change of life. And so they did, their cultures changed. Oregon's culture is different,
Right.
And we kind of know that. I think those of us that have traveled, but you go from Oregon to, like I did, to the Midwest. It was a culture shock, and people are looking at me different, and wondering, why do you act that way? Well, I grew up in Oregon, and this is kind of how we function. And so I think you have that nature concept, and I remember for us, like we'd have we every year our church would do a camp out.
Yeah.
And so, our church is at this point maybe 250 people. And I'd say the vast majority went camping. We went to the mountains and camped. Right? Could you imagine if I did that here?
No, I mean, we'd go because I like to camp, but
but
it
to
would be
have
a
the
small
majority,
group. think,
the
yeah.
majority would go because that was just kind of the normative there. And those are some of the best worship services we had
Right.
because we're out in nature. It started, and so
Yeah.
then you begin to question and go, well, was that pagan? If we want to talk about pagan, that
Right.
in that worship of nature, or did we have a different concept? And we kind of did where we experience God greater in nature because
Right.
we're in
His
what
creation.
He created,
Yes.
right? And so I think there's a line there that we've got to be cautious that we don't deem things pagan that aren't,
Right.
and that we don't deem things pagan that are heathenistic.
Okay.
Right. And I kind of like that word a little bit better, which now we've got to define that word. Right?
Yeah, I was just about to say, well, you set up the question. What is that?
So
What would
heathenistic
heathenistic
is really, if we want to, let's define it within Christianity.
Okay.
Right? Heathenistic is anything that is not against what the Bible teaches, or
It's not.
is against.
Okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So pagan is its own religion.
Is it right? And it's really
Heathen-
about nature.
Right. And heathen is basically anti-Christian.
And yeah, in that, and honestly, any religion could call anything else heathenistic.
Whatever's outside of
It's
that
anti
religion.
whatever that religion is. If
Okay.
I'm Muslim, anything against Muslim,
Okay.
right,
Would be
it
heathen.
would be, yeah, right. So,
Okay. Now I've got a third term though.
yeah,
So what is occult? Like the occult.
yeah.
What's that? Because that's
a
its own thing too, right?
Its own religion,
Okay.
right?
Well,
So
made
are we
up
a
of
cult?
no, not a cult,
Yeah,
occult.
yeah.
So like
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I think
Like
you're
witches
defining that.
and oh no, I
Right.
had that whole conversation.
Okay.
I said something was a cult, and they said, "Well, everything's a cult if you think about it." I'm like,
Yeah, no.
No.
Oh, okay.
Occult.
Oh, yeah.
occult.
Oh, capital O. Gotcha.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's
it is-
Wiccanism,
it is-
right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, Wiccan. Yeah, that whole which but again, it's another religion.
Right. But that's all separate.
It's all separate.
Okay.
So everything then again that's not Christian is
It's heathen. Okay.
and
Which is interesting
yeah,
because when I talked to the pagan,
yeah.
he told me that they call themselves heathens
Mm-hmm.
and that they have a heathenistic service. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not what I thought that word meant.
Right.
But they call themselves. He goes, no, it's proper to call us heathens. We want
Yeah,
to be called
we want
heathens.
to be.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel right calling you that openly. Like that feels like something we
Because-
say behind people's
Well,
backs.
because to us that's a
like a
derogatory term.
slur almost.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Because it really is. It's meant to.
Yeah.
Right. Let no heathen live. I mean, this concept of the Bible is very specific about that we watch those that are outside of our religion, right? Our faith practice.
Yeah.
And anyone outside of our faith practice, is the Jews would call them Gentiles. We call them heathen.
Yeah.
Right. Because they are beyond that. And we can push the heathenistic mindset of barbarianism and all these other,
Yeah.
but at least for our conversation, if we can just kind of lay it as simplest term
Yes.
to me is if it's not Christian,
Right.
it's heathen.
Okay.
Right? And to me, I don't mean anything bad. If you're Jewish, if you're Islamic, right, Hindu, I'm not saying you're evil.
Right.
Right. And I think people take heathenism into evil. I'm not saying intrinsically like you are bad people, right? But I'm just saying your belief system is different than mine.
Right.
Right.
You're
And so
outside of.
if you're teaching something that's not what I'm teaching, right? You're outside of where I'm at.
Okay.
Right. So maybe a better way to label this, not pagan, or our holidays pagan are they heathenistic?
Okay. Okay.
Can we go there?
I think we can go there. Yeah.
I think we have a lot of arguments over, not that you and I are going to, but other people probably have arguments over terminology. But I think it's an easy term
Yeah.
to label that, and again try to say, not evil meaning that well, I mean there's Satanists are evil, right?
Right.
Although if you ever did a study on Satanists, they don't worship Satan.
No. So
right. So
I met one of those too.
yeah, right.
It was
So
crazy.
it's a different world where like that's the first one. Oh, you worship Satan? No, it's a whole different world there.
There's
Right.
theistic Satanism,
Yeah.
and then there's non-theistic Satanism. And non-theistic is just they don't want to do the Christian thing.
Yes.
And
exactly.
theistic Satanism is like wild. That's
Yes.
where you get into like
Right.
blood sacrifice
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
we had to learn about all that. In
Yeah,
school.
and you see all these charters
yeah.
that are going into schools and other things, and
Yeah.
they're Satanists, and then you read their doctrine, and it's basically, I don't want to be Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I'm a good person, but I don't want to be a
very-
Christian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's very interesting, you know. And you read their doctrine of faith, their doctrine of belief,
Yeah.
and you're like, wait, you don't worship Satan?
No.
Like, you know, that's our first thought.
Yeah.
You know. But they are definitely anti-Christian.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So like also don't let your kids go to those release
Oh
programs.
no, yeah.
Don't
yeah.
go near it just because they are not worshiping Satan, but also it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole political
Yeah.
mess, basically.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
We know very little in the Christian world. I will tell you that. We've
yeah.
not studied other religions like we should.
Which that I think going back to the train was like the best gift
Yeah.
that I could get was we spent time just talking about what every belief system,
Yeah.
the not nitty gritty, but like their just basic core. And we had a Muslim in our class who was an imam in his mosque, and he talked about Muslim, you know, like Islam and how they practice. And our instructor was LDS, and so he talked about some of their beliefs. Like, it was really cool because where else do you get to have that conversation? You're not supposed to talk about religion.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But it was great.
And
to have that. Okay.
Back to the subject. Have we even touched the subject?
I don't know. I mean, we've defined what pagan is.
We've been all over the world, which has been cool.
Heathenistic.
It's fun.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some things.
Okay.
And I've done very basic research on them.
Oh, man,
because I'm trying to figure out if something started off as pagan but now has become commercialized, or if something started off heathenistic and then became commercialized, can we participate with it? And if something started off Christian but then became more heathenistic, do we engage?
Yeah.
So the Easter Bunny started with German Lutherans.
Yes.
And then it was the Brothers Grimm who connected it back to gods and goddesses.
Uh-huh.
So is the Easter Bunny a heathen?
Yeah.
Or can we do the cute little Easter Bunny taking pictures with our kids? Because it started off as Lutheran.
Right.
But then it kind of, the Brothers Grimm pushed it towards more of that fake fertility goddess and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on the Easter Bunny?
I love the Easter Bunny, man. He's so cute. Like, I love hiding Easter eggs. Jelly beans are just incredible. I don't want to answer the question.
I noticed that. You always trail away.
I'm just like, this is so cool. Here's the deal. If we can just be very, very honest.
Yeah.
Are we able to redeem it?
Right. That's the question.
That's the base of everything.
Yeah.
What is the purpose behind the Easter Bunny? Because you're going to have
Cute
churches
pictures.
that have the Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
I think we have an Easter Bunny costume.
I have dressed up as the Easter Bunny at this church before, and somebody made a comment about it being, we're bringing a fertility symbol into the church. And I'm like, yeah, but LGBT took our rainbow. So why can I not take their bunny? I'm cute. I have a little apron. I'm passing out cross candy.
What else do you need in life? Is it redeemable? And I think what we have to get to the point is number one is the heart.
Okay.
What's the heart behind what we're doing? Why are we doing what we're doing? Right? As Christians. You know, what's the purpose behind it? Right. And man, there's so much there that we could talk about, because I think you can have the right heart and still be doing the wrong thing.
Oh,
so just because you have the right heart behind it, Saul on the road to Damascus, he had the right heart. I'm going to
enforce
go kill all these people of the way, put them in prison because they're, because they're doing the wrong thing, right?
Right.
To him, the wrong thing. He had the right heart. He had a heart for God that it just wanted to do everything God desired him to do.
Yeah.
But he was doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to be cautious because the heart above all things is deceitful, right? But to realize, okay, what's my motive? Why am I doing what I'm doing, right? But then you've got to go, and you can't stop there. You've got to begin to ask yourself certain questions. Not only is it redeemable, but what am I teaching other people?
Okay.
So if we look at the Easter Bunny and go, okay, what's the heart? Why am I dressing up as the Easter Bunny? Okay, so let's say my heart is I'm trying to minister to the community. That's a great reason,
Okay.
right? That they're going to understand the symbol of the Easter Bunny as
Right.
something, the Easter Bunny
Happy.
brings happiness
Yeah.
and eggs and good stuff, right?
Right.
And so I'm going to dress up as the Easter Bunny and I'm going to do this. And it's a symbol that the community knows. I'm going to be inclusive in that concept of trying to bring in the okay, that's great. We've got good stuff. But what are you doing to the believers, right? What are you instilling in those that are already in the church, that already
Okay.
know? What lesson are you teaching them, or are you teaching them a lesson? Are you instructing and helping them see the motivation behind what you're doing, right? And so I think all those questions have to be answered,
Okay.
and so for me to say point blank the Easter Bunny is unredeemable, I can't say that.
Right.
But what I think we have to do is be very cautious in anything we try to redeem,
Mm-hmm.
because when you try to redeem something that paints God in the wrong picture, or that paints our religion in the wrong picture,
Mm-hmm.
or drives people away from the right ideas, the theology, then it is heathenistic. And
Okay.
as a church, then you shouldn't be heathenistic, meaning you shouldn't be teaching things that are contrary to what you believe.
Right. So if the heart behind dressing as the Easter Bunny is to go into the community and interact with the kids and talk to parents who maybe would never otherwise come into the church, that would be okay. And we're giving them, the candies with the black jelly beans death and the white jelly beans the
Yeah.
life, that type of thing. Would that would cross this? That would be okay?
Yeah,
Do you think?
I think we're going the right direction at that
Okay.
point. Because we're trying to redeem the Easter Bunny, right?
Right.
We're trying to utilize maybe something that again, people recognize.
Yeah.
And
And
we're
you can't dress up
trying
as a tomb, like that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the Easter symbol.
Well, you can, but
It'd
that would be
very
really weird.
very unclear. Yeah.
Right? Walking around like like a dead guy on Easter, that's just
It's
raised
just-
from the dead, right? No, it probably
You
wouldn't
can't
work,
connect. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and so I think I don't want to ever say to each their own,
Right.
but I think as a church and as Christians,
Yeah.
to be really cognizant of what we do
Okay.
and why we're doing it. Am I properly redeeming this thing? And you probably have a question on there about Halloween, but I gotta
do.
get there,
I know.
because Halloween is again is the antithesis of what I'm talking about.
Because that's unredeemable.
It's unredeemable.
Yeah.
It is. There's nothing about that is. Yeah. Oh, we can. I'm gonna take these pumpkins. I'm gonna teach a lesson about Christ. Yes, you can take a pumpkin and teach a lesson about Christ, but the heart, the nature
Yeah.
of Halloween is heathenistic.
Mhm.
It is pure Satanistic. It is demonic. You can't redeem Halloween,
Right.
no matter what you want to paint it. You can't pretty that pig up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think we've got to realize that we've tried to do all we can do. Now, am I condemning those churches for doing things on Halloween? I am not. We were a church for a time that we did events, a fall festival, right,
Yeah.
at our church. We pastored in South Chicago, very tough neighborhood, and let's talk about heart. Our heart was to get kids off the streets,
Yeah.
because it's not safe for them to be on the streets, especially that night.
Yeah.
And just in our neighborhood, shootings every day. It was so we're like, we're going to offer something because we know you parents, even the parents in the church, but the parents in the community, you're going to have your kids out and your kids are going to be running around.
Yeah.
And so we're going to offer something. And so we offered something that brought them in. They had dinner. We kept them for a couple hours. They had a good time. You know, some people will say, well, you're celebrating Halloween. The heart behind that. And did you dress up? Yeah. And obviously we limited what they could wear, you know, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But again, it was for the community. Right. And we're like, but we told everybody our heart, we want your kids to be off the streets.
Yeah.
And what we ended up learning is that what they would do is they would either come to our event and go trick-or-treating, or they go trick-or-treating and come to our event. So we stopped it.
Yeah.
Because we realized we weren't redeeming anything.
Yeah.
We weren't protecting our kids because they were still doing the very thing that we were trying
to
prevent them from. And again, we were never redeeming Halloween because we know we couldn't.
Yeah.
We were just trying to help. And so, you know, I applaud those churches that are able to offer something on a night like that, in those areas where they need to get the kids off the streets, if they can get the kids off the street.
Yeah.
Right. That I think is totally different. But to just offer something so that I can get some people into my church, or because I want to be a good neighbor or whatever, you know, whatever that looks like. I think we just have to be very cautious with that and go, I can't redeem everything. Your husband and I did a thing on movies, and hopefully we're going to do another one. And you know, we talked about that when I watch a movie, I try to look for the truth of God in those movies. But there's some movies I won't watch at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's not, every movie's not redeemable. Every movie, I shouldn't be watching every movie.
Yeah.
You know, because I realize that there's no biblical value in this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just destruction.
Where the Easter Bunny, there's a biblical value in the point where I could teach that, and it's based on and we can go to the very history of Easter and understand blah blah blah, right? But what Easter means, right, is Jesus Christ came out of that tomb, right? Yeah. You know, that's what Easter means. And if I can use a symbol that everybody knows and show Christ through that, easily show Christ, which I can, and I can do that in my community, I can redeem that.
Okay.
There's no Christ in Halloween.
Yeah.
Right? He drove out the darkness.
Yeah. And so why are we giving a day of darkness?
Didn't invite the darkness in.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to go up to Cupid. Valentine's Day
why
is
would
named
you want
after a saint.
A naked
baby with
naked. Well, I guess he's not naked. He's got a diaper on.
I don't know if that's that much better.
Loaded diaper, man. Loaded diaper shooting people with an arrow. That's kind of rude. Like, you know,
all of it's weird because so like doing the research, it's a son between the god of war and the god of love.
Yeah.
So it's a love war baby.
Right.
Who's going out there shooting people.
Yep.
But does that mean that we shouldn't do Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
It's named after a saint after all.
Right.
It's Saint Valentine's Day.
Yep.
So
yep.
Where do you stand on that? Like, does having a saint title for a holiday, does that mean it's okay now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? All right.
But now we're mixing into
Saint Halloween. We're good now.
Well, All Saints Day is the day after.
That's right. Because we redeem it the day after.
Right. But does that matter?
That's tongue in cheek, by the way, if you ask me. Does it matter?
Does it matter that there's these elements to it?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right? But again, I think is it redeemable?
Okay.
What's the heart behind it?
So if we focus on celebrating God's love for us.
Am I celebrating Saint Cupid?
No.
Am I celebrating Cupid? I mean, am I worshiping the God of love? This idea of, again, a God that is, formed from the God of war, God of love. Is that my heart behind Valentine's? Do I even think about that?
Probably not.
Yeah. Right. And so we kind of look at that and go, that's interesting. But what is Valentine's Day about? How do I celebrate Valentine's? What am I doing? What am I celebrating?
Hopefully love, which is God.
Yeah. and those little heart things with the words,
The messages.
right?
Yeah.
Those used to be my favorites.
They taste like chalk.
I don't know. I just loved them. Man, they were just the best ever. Not the big ones. They had to be the small ones. The small ones. They're
Okay.
like little Smarties
Mhm.
almost concept, right? But I think that's the question that we've got to ask ourselves for everything,
Okay.
you know. And again, I don't want anyone to hear me say that you can redeem everything, because you can't.
Right.
But what's the heart behind Valentine's Day?
But
if it is love,
Right.
pure love, right? You know, not this "Will you be my Valentine today?"
Yeah.
You know, that concept, but it's the redeeming that concept of love. Love is love. I mean, God is love,
Right.
and therefore, I think you had said in another one, you know, that therefore we must be loved.
Yeah.
Right? You were teaching the youth that, and I think that becomes the thing, and we take even those things that the world meant for evil. I'm go very Bible now. Well, the world meant for evil, and we're redeem it. That's what God does.
Right.
He takes that which was meant for evil and turns it to good. You know,
Yeah.
Joseph tells his brother, "Hey, that which you meant for harm, that meant what you meant to kill me. Actually, God turned it into good." And so I don't think there's a moment like on a Valentine's Day where we're like, well, we're gonna disassociate ourselves from this,
Right.
you know, because there's a you know, pagan god. There I go, pagan, right? Just so he's a heathenistic god, right? This the Cupid, right? That's there, and it ruins the whole lot.
Which, because I mean, Cupid got artificially implanted into Valentine's
Correct.
Day. The day started off honoring someone who was marrying people against
Right.
the government's wishes. So the focus originally was
right,
Christian and honoring a saint,
yeah,
but the world has tried to slip in, as the world often does.
right.
The heathenistic element.
But you know, we've done the same thing. I mentioned Christmas is it's such a big one, right? Taking a winter solstice and kind of merging that in and trying to redeem, which is what the emperor was trying to do when he did it. It was trying to redeem heathenistic worship and trying to merge those things into it. And so I think there's some heart attitudes that we really have to have, and I think, but we do have to disassociate ourselves from things like I don't have symbols of Cupid around.
Right.
You know, I celebrate Valentine's Day for the love, although I don't. My wife and I, our anniversary is the 6th of February, so we celebrate our anniversary.
Yeah.
We don't do Valentine's Day, you know. You know, or the other one. What's the one where the women buy the guy stuff? There's
What?
You heard of this one?
No.
Yeah, it's the Sweetest Day or something like that.
What, Sweetheart's Day?
Is that
I've
what
never.
it is?
I don't know. I've never heard. I've never
check that out.
practiced this. Poor Jason.
We can definitely do that one. Women buy your men stuff, right? Right. So I think that's the thing. It's like, what's the heart? Again, the heart is about love, which is the purest thing in the world we can have. Love for God, love for our spouse, or you know, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever that looks like.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Just get rid of Cupid.
Just get rid of the Cupid and we're fine. So you mentioned solstice a minute ago. It almost feels like going back to a season for everything. It almost feels like honoring the seasons and like recognizing the seasons and that God made the seasons.
Yep.
That would be Christian.
Oh.
Right? Like if we go back to Ecclesiastes and there's a time for everything.
So it wouldn't be Christian. It would be
Christian.
It'd be
Jewish. Okay.
Let's go.
You know
Let's
what?
go. We're talking Old Testament. We're talking Old Testament, Jewish, pre-Christ.
But we still read Ecclesiastes.
Yes.
As Christians.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I would trump you and say, well, go back to Leviticus and Numbers.
Okay.
They celebrated the seasons.
Right. Because
They
we're
honored
commemorating
the
a passing of time that God has given us.
Right. And they would sacrifice to God.
Right.
For that season.
Right. And like bringing in the harvest and giving it because
first fruits.
God has given me this.
Yep. Feast of Tabernacles. The feast.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have all these feasts.
And they celebrated this season.
Yeah.
Right. Winter solstice was a celebration of the season. But
there's a big but coming, I can tell.
Oh, massive.
Oh, man.
Well, but how did they celebrate it?
With feasts at the temple and sacrifices.
To who?
To God.
What God?
Or the Old Testament God.
Well, the Jewish people did.
Right. So we're not Jewish.
But
so we shouldn't.
Well, what was happening
season?
during the winter solstice? We're talking about 300 AD, right? When it needs to be redeemed. At that point, it was Greek worship, right? So you got the Romans,
So we're going into the temple and we're doing sacrifices to false gods.
And orgies and just debauchery,
right?
Yeah, I mean, just that's it, right? And so what you've got this winter solstice specifically that they're worshiping, right? They're worshiping other gods, and they're pagan at this point. They're worshiping the god of the harvest, the naturalistic kind of concept there. And so you've got that, and the emperor, and I'm trying to remember which emperor it was, realized that hey, the Rome has become Catholic, little C Catholic, not big C Catholic. I don't know.
Okay, that one messed me. No, you need to explain that, because that one messed me up in church history.
Okay, so we're all Catholic.
Yes.
Right order, right way of doing things. So the big C, the big church, Catholic Church, didn't come for hundreds of years later. Where it became this break off of concepts. So when we were little C, big C concept, right? So Rome Christianity became the national religion of Rome.
Yeah.
The emperor accepted Christ. They changed and went from a polytheistic world to a monotheistic. Poly just meaning many, poly meaning many, mono meaning one.
Yes.
They went from let's worship everybody to we're worshiping one. Yeah. They went to that. And so they have these festivals that they've been doing as Roman citizens for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're being told, we're not going to do those any longer.
Right.
Right.
Which is a big culture shift we're asking
could
for.
You imagine?
Yeah.
Their temples, the money that would come in at that moment. You read the New Testament, Paul at one point, he gets thrown into prison because the workers, the businesses were losing money because of what he was preaching. They stopped sacrificing to some of the gods. They weren't buying the idols, right? All this stuff, right? So imagine Rome at this moment is saying now, okay, hey, all those who worship Athena, stop.
Yeah.
Jupiter, stop. Yeah. We're getting Venus. We're getting all of these religions, and we're shutting all of these down.
Yeah.
And then they have these mass festivals. And so if you can imagine, we're in Columbus, and so Columbus has a mass festival that they do every year. Well, every business is gearing up for that festival.
Yeah.
And they know, and if you've ever studied any of this or ever been in a community, like where I grew up, Independence, Oregon, home of the Oregon Trail, by the way, that's where they ended. Really cool, starting in Independence, Missouri, and in Independence, Oregon. We were known for our 4th of July fireworks.
Well, with a name like Independence, you have
right?
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But small community, farming community, right? And our but the capital, Salem, was about 20, 30 minutes away, and we had some neighboring areas. Every city was about 20, 30 minutes away or farther, right? But what would happen on the 4th of July is our town would be inundated, and we had one main road. I mean, again, we're talking small. Like traffic light. Did we have a traffic light? Not until I was in high school, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had two main roads basically, and one was kind of to come into Independence, north or south, and the other one was east and west. Yeah. I mean, that was it. And so we have these mass amount of people. Our whole economy was really based on that. The businesses in that area would make the majority of their money in that one day, in that one season, right? And so if we think that mindset, and now go into Rome and into these communities that would celebrate, they'd have the big temples and they'd celebrate the winter solstice. So their economy is driven off of this. So the emperor's got to go, okay, man, what do I do with winter solstice?
Economically, this would be terrible.
Kill it.
Yeah.
We can't kill the sacrifices that are happening and all this stuff. We can't. So we've got to redeem it. So he redeems it with Christmas, right? And they try to redeem it with other holidays.
Yes. that are more Christian centric.
That more Christian, right? Yeah. Right. And unfortunately, what ends up happening, which happens every time, is that anytime you try to bring Christianity and another religion together, you have a watered down religion.
Yeah.
Whether it's a watered down version of Christianity or watered down version of a religion of something else. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that when you struggle that, and that's where we are 2,000 years later, we still have that same. We watered down a lot of our holidays.
Yeah.
None of them have the true meaning of what they were ever started to be.
Right.
Right. We've brought other things in to them, and so we don't really celebrate them in the true heart of what they should be.
Because if we celebrated Christmas in the true heart of what it should be, we wouldn't be giving gifts to each other.
Oh, no.
Right?
No, not at all.
And we wouldn't be rushing to and fro and making 15 dozen cookies for people and everything else.
Yeah.
We would just be sitting.
Santa would be gone.
Santa would be gone.
Right.
Even though he was based off of, again, a saint.
We would have the heart of Santa.
Right.
The heart of St. Nicholas. Of giving to the poor.
Yeah.
Right.
Not our friends, not our family.
Yeah.
But the poor.
Exactly. The poor. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, our whole, the Christmas attitude would be completely different.
Yeah.
It'd be full of a lot more joy.
Yeah.
You know, than it is. And we would have a lot more time for our family.
Yeah. Because we wouldn't be so busy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we miss out on all the cool movies, like the Santa Clauses, Tim Allen. Oh man, incredible. Right. We miss out on all those, but we'd have the true heart of it.
Right.
You know.
So, okay. You mentioned the first fruits.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to feel weird because I have like
celebrate that.
I have like a little practice where I'm a big gardener. I love flowers. We have a big garden. Yeah. And I always give away the first thing that I bring in. It's like
That's cool.
That's just like something I've always done. The first flowers I cut, I always take them to a neighbor, whoever's around us, because I want them to get to enjoy the joy, and we're called to give, not to receive. And It's my way of like giving,
Yeah.
Is that heathenistic then?
No,
to celebrate first fruits like that?
No, first fruits is very Jewish.
Okay.
Right. And so you've actually like, I'm goosebumps.
Oh, right? I'm good.
I'm
okay, I can keep doing that.
Because
cool.
That's technically first fruits is whatever I receive first, I give unto God.
Right. Lighting daisies in my front yard would not be within city code, though.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
So I give them to the neighbors instead.
But I think that's when we think about the very heart of what that celebration was all about.
Yeah.
Is going, thank you, God, for this. Whatever that first. I mean, we even go to the firstborn son.
Yeah.
Right. In the Bible, it talks about that you give your firstborn son.
Yeah.
To God. Now they would redeem which means that they would pay for it. Pay for the child. And redeem the child that way. But that idea, the first that breaks the womb, the first of beast as well.
Yes.
Right. The first of the harvest every year as well. It came unto God, was given unto God. And it was a practice of saying, God, I realize it's yours. And I say we don't practice that today because we don't. If we really think about this, and this is going to really mess people up. In our world today, we like to say, well, I don't harvest. I don't do what you do, right?
Right.
I don't plant.
Yeah.
And I don't have cattle. So I don't really have that, and sure, I'm going to dedicate my child. That's really cool. But if we really think about it and we look at our year, how our calendar is, our first fruits would be our first paycheck in January.
Oof. That's going to hurt some people.
Uh-huh.
The whole thing.
And we're supposed to give tithes.
On top of the first
of the first fruits. They did both.
Right.
Right. Now people will be like, oh, the Old Testament's gone. Jesus abolished it.
Very conveniently.
Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. That's the truth.
Yeah.
But, in our economy today, and I'm not saying that because I don't do that personally.
Right.
Right. It's something I'm really wrestling with. And when I look at the very heart, that's where I'm going. When I look at the heart of it. Right.
Yeah.
Is it the action? No, it's not. To me, it's the heart of it.
Yeah.
Am I giving unto God? Am I acknowledging in this, we're just on first fruits right now. Am I acknowledging that when I receive that check, that it's his?
Right.
and we're not talking about tithing, but we're
That's
talking
a whole other
we're talking
podcast.
about money.
Yeah.
If we go on that point, here's the problem: the government gets our first fruits,
Well, yeah.
right? And I know a lot of people
Because
that tithe off
yeah.
their net, not their gross.
Oh, yeah.
They tithe off what they receive, so you're actually giving unto God a tenth of that
what
which
the government
already took out.
Yeah.
They took their
Oh.
20%. You're giving 10% to God based off the leftovers. And you can deal.
I never thought of that.
You can do whatever you want to with that one. That one's free, but we got to get to the heart of the matter, right? And I think with everything we're talking about, all these different holidays, I think that's where we got to get to the heart of the matter. What was the meaning of it? Is it redeemable? Can I teach God through this?
Right.
And what am I worshiping? What am I worshiping?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like Christmas for us, when our kids were kids,
right? Not adults,
right? They're adults now, right? So when our kids were kids, we never did the Santa gift.
Okay.
Right? So, and that's just personal conviction. But we did a Jesus gift. We gave a gift to Jesus.
Okay.
It was a family gift.
Right.
So, right. Like a game. Like,
okay.
Life or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was like we wanted to honor that and say we're supposed to give something to Jesus. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make us any better or worse, because honestly we shouldn't have given gifts to each other and the whole thing. But just trying to look for those teachable opportunities, I think, as parents.
Yeah.
And Christmas is such a beautiful time for that because, again, it's easier. But why can't we do that with all the holidays, quote unquote holidays that are out there?
Yeah.
That again have some redemptive value. Which off the top of my head, I just keep going to Halloween. It's the only one I can think of that
don't even touch.
That I just don't even touch that one. Other than I'm teaching my kids through that. I'm teaching and making opportunities and to tell them, we stay away from darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So St. Patrick's Day is coming up next.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings because I've just started to learn a little bit about St. Patrick and oh my gosh, crazy story.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know St. Patrick,
you got to look it up.
Read into his story.
We actually did it through the
he wasn't this Irishman that got drunk all the time and looked for a pot of gold. Yeah, it didn't happen.
No, and we were talking about how pagan and heathenistic elements, I keep hitting that, filter into the Christian. That's a prime example because now people are like drinking gold or green beer and dyeing rivers green and all these things, but that's not that's not it at all.
Yeah.
And he would probably be kicking some butt over what he's seen happening on his day.
Right.
But I've always kind of shied.
Green has nothing to do with it, by the way.
Nothing.
FYI. I'm hoping people are like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's wild. So my husband grew up British.
Yeah.
So his father, absolutely nothing St. Patrick's Day.
Right. Yep.
I kind of shy away from it because of the luck elements.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything with the luck in our house. It's not luck, it's blessing.
That's right.
So, but now it's making me reevaluate. Like, oh, no, I think I want to celebrate St. Patrick because that dude was awesome.
But you just said it.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate St. Patrick. Not
leprechauns.
Not where we've gone into this diluted mindset of what it meant.
Yeah.
Right? Where we so we took what was a celebration of a saint who did incredible work in a very heathenistic world.
Just wild.
Right? Just wild
human
stuff.
Sacrifice,
And,
wild.
And you see him come into this world and do what he did. And we should celebrate him. I'm not saying like as a saint we should, pray to him all that. That's not what I'm talking about.
No.
But celebrate the heart of him. So to me, St. Patrick's Day then becomes a day where it's a reminder of the Great Commission.
Yeah.
The reminder of that stuff that is way beyond me, like human sacrifice, that God can equip me to actually speak into these environments.
Yeah.
In a great way, and to push forward and to do good into these arenas.
And
that
loving
should be
your
the
neighbor.
celebration of that. Yes.
Yes.
Not drinking beer, not the leprechauns, not the four. You're not wearing green. I'm going to punch you or kick you or
It's
pinch
pinch.
you
It's
or
pinch.
whatever.
You're so violent.
I came from a very violent family.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
We're pinching.
Pinching. Okay. I think hitting's better. But I think that's such a beautiful way for you to say, I love that. You're like, I want to celebrate St. Patrick. Yes.
Yeah. But not all the other stuff.
Right.
Not the debauchery that.
But what was the purpose of St. Patrick's Day? It was to celebrate the work he did and a reminder for us of what we should be doing.
Yeah.
What we are called to is
Yeah.
each and every one of us. So many of these celebrations of the saints specifically that were about reminding people what we're called to.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just putting the guy on the pedestal, which is what happened.
Right.
But it was saying he did this, and so should you.
Yeah.
Right. And so, man, when I keep going back to the heart, when I understand the intention of that day, how do I then therefore celebrate that day? Can I celebrate that day?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I love corned beef. So cabbage, oh my word! Our church, we had one every year. That we had a lady that would make it, and we'd serve 100 meals or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great fundraiser, by the way. It was incredible, but I'd never had it before. She made it, and I had it. I was like, this is good, But am I really celebrating that, or is just a special occasion to have corned beef when I never ever had?
Yeah.
And soda bread, and to have these foods that are basically Irish, But what's the heart?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I be celebrating the man, and then the legacy that he was trying to instill in each and every one of us?
Yeah. Of just like absolute bravery.
Yeah.
And just like unbridled passion for Christ.
But then how would you celebrate it? So this year,
I was just thinking that
March 17th, how do you celebrate St. Patrick without celebrating the things of St. Patrick's Day?
I think that you go out into a community where you're not going to be appreciated.
Yeah.
And you give.
Yeah.
And you give with all the love in your heart.
Well, that's not celebrating.
I think that is celebrating.
That's just weird.
I know. But Christians are supposed to be weird, aren't we?
Come on now.
We're supposed to be weird.
That.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, I'm honestly like, I'm sitting here like, what are we going to do? Because I've got a homeschooled son. I'm like,
right.
We could tear up. We could do something really fun.
Yeah.
And maybe not take a 7-year-old someplace he's going to be hated. That might be a bit extreme. But like, I don't know, maybe going to someplace where they don't get love.
Yeah.
Going to a nursing home maybe.
Right.
And passing out something.
Yeah.
Something like that where that's not nearly as awesome as St. Patrick, but I'm also not going to take my 7-year-old to go, overthrow government or anything. So not yet.
But you're teaching the heart.
Yeah, the heart is to give.
What
to
is
love?
I'm not looking for the pot of gold for me.
I'm looking to give it to you.
I want to give somebody. Yeah, like it changes our mindset, and I think, man, all of us Christians should be feeling the same thing right now.
Yeah,
it's like, man, I've just done a disservice to all my holidays.
Yeah,
right.
Because I want to take them back to the heart.
Yeah, yeah.
I might still dress up as the Easter Bunny though. I really enjoy it.
All right.
And I think it's good for the kids. They like it. I'll give out crosses.
That's it. Easter Bunny believes
Easter Bunny is redeemable.
I am redeemable. Jesus died for me too.
Yeah.
And he died for the Easter Bunny as well. Right. Now, Tooth Fairy, on the other hand, I don't know about the Tooth Fairy. That one's
just weird.
That one's creepy.
That one's just weird.
Please don't come in my room.
No.
Oh. And then you talk to some parents and they give serious coin, man.
No.
$20 for a tooth or something. I'm like, what in the world?
I can't keep up with that level of inflation.
I got like a quarter. What are you talking about? Right? Crazy. But I think that's, man, if we could start thinking that way with everything, and I just really challenge people to start small.
Yeah.
I love what you said, because it wasn't big. Like, I could maybe go to a nursing home and do something nice.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't have to be this monumental thing. I shared the Christmas thing. Like, we gave a gift to Jesus. And we actually pray, before we even open our gifts, right? We, thank Jesus for the gifts. Thank him for what he did. Right. So I think it's those little things sometimes that they're a starting point.
Yeah.
They're not an ending point. They're a starting point. because like you say, you take your kid to the nursing home this year, and he gets older and older and older. At some point, maybe it is that you take him somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's a little tougher, or a little more demanding.
Yeah. Like doing a homeless ministry feed or something like that, where it's
something different.
he and I have gone out
Yeah.
and made sandwiches, and we're gonna go. Yeah, I don't know even how he would react to that.
Yeah,
that would blow his little homeschooled mind.
Right.
In a good way, I think.
Well, and which is, I think, what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the holidays, if we go back to our Jewish roots, right? Holidays were all about remembrance.
Yeah.
Remember what God has done. Celebrate what God has done.
Yeah.
Over and over again. We go Passover. Jesus comes at the end there at the Last Supper, and he says, "Do this in remembrance of me, in obedience of me. Remember what I'm going to do." Passover is all about remembrance.
Yeah.
We do this because if you've never done a Seder before, man, I tell every Christian, you need to go through a Seder, go through someone who's actually Jewish or been trained through Judaism to understand it. It's all about remembering. Well, every holiday should be that for us as well. God set it up, that mindset in the Jewish world. All the feasts that they did, all those celebrations, it was always remembering what God has done.
Yeah.
Right. And then on the flip side of that is then as you remembered, you also then look forward and recommitted yourself to right. I'm first fruits. God, look at what you've done. You've done it for me. You've taken care of me. Last year when I gave my first fruits, I had plenty to go through the year.
Yeah.
And this year you're going to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Looking backwards, looking forwards to what God has done in our lives. What if we looked at every holiday that way?
Yeah.
Right. And again, looked at the small things that we can do to remember what he's done and look forward to what he's going to do.
Yeah.
We look at those holidays then and then we go, okay, yeah, the world is doing this. The world is heathenistic. The world is celebrating the 4-leaf clover, the rabbit's foot, all these other things, right? They're celebrating all that. I don't have any part of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to redeem the 4-leaf clover,
Right.
Right? Because that's a symbol of luck. No, we don't do luck.
Yeah.
But I can tell you where my faith is and my hope is, and I know that God is going to take care of me.
Yeah, and provide.
And that every good and faithful gift is from God, right? Realize, right? That it changes how I look at things. So some things I push aside. I'm not going to celebrate. Cupid's out.
Yep.
But I'm gonna celebrate love. These figures and these things that are associated with evil, and I mean evil in the concept of not Christian, right? Not of God. When we separate those and say that's not what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do this, right?
Yeah.
I think we get to the point where we begin to understand what holidays are all about.
Yeah.
And
it's not just marking time.
Yes.
It's remembering all of the time that you've had. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they were planned in the Jewish calendars. They're planned out. It's very specific times, right?
Yes.
So it's like us. We have Christmas, right? We have Thanksgiving, the Christmas, and then we've got this. It seems like this massive break, really, until the big one, which is Easter. Now we got a little St. Patrick's Day. Oh, and we got Valentine's Day. And no, we got all these little things in there, and you're like, what if we use every single one of those and said, okay, how are they showing me God?
Right.
How are they reminding me about God?
Well, I mean, you'd come to almost every month having a moment to pause.
Yeah.
Which, oh man, it's like we're supposed to do that every day.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's that moment of the intentionality of it.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with so many of us is we're not intentional with our faith. We're not intentional with our relationship with God.
Yeah.
We're intentional with our relationship with other people.
Yeah.
Right. But not with God. And so we need those reminders.
Yeah.
They're not a bad thing.
No.
I think those reminders are a good thing. And so I look at it and say, okay, so St. Patrick's Day is coming up, a couple weeks, or whenever it is. And I look at that and go, okay, cool. Right. So how am I going to remember God in this?
Yeah.
How am I going to, if I want to celebrate this thing, where's God? Where in like St. Patrick, obviously just the missional heart of St. Patrick, the Great Commission of St. Patrick.
Yeah. Awesome. So some things can be redeemed.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think it's a heart matter. So
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, that covers my note.
All right. Well, that's good. So hopefully this was interesting, helpful, thoughtful, thought-provoking, hopefully I didn't upset. Well, maybe I did. Hopefully I upset some people. I'm going to say it that way.
It's better if you did. That means that you got through, right?
I got through, maybe. Yeah. But hey, question, comments, thoughts, if there are other topics that you'd like us to discuss, just let us know. Make sure you follow us, share our stuff. I mean, check us out, make sure that we're teaching the right thing. But then share our stuff, let people know. My heart is, again, just challenging how we live in this world as Christians. That slice of life every day.
Yep.
Every day, trying to be more and more like Christ. But until we see you again, be blessed. Well, hey, thanks for spending a slice of your day with us. If today's conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or sparked a new thought, we'd love to hear about it. Follow us on social media to keep the conversation going, and don't be shy. Send in your comments, your questions, or even topic suggestions for future episodes. This podcast is about living out our faith in real life, and your voice helps us shape it. Until next time, keep walking with grace and keep living the life God's called you to.